Welcome everybody to our Zoom interview call about Dance Your Bliss. And Dance Our Bliss is a workshop series that me and Nicole are planting the first seed in Chicago this weekend on Friday. Um, and we're here to tell you a little bit more about it. And yeah, what is it about and who are we? We're gonna tell you here at this in this call. And yeah, what is it about? No, first, who are you, Nicole?
So my name is Nicole Siegel, and I'm a sexological body worker and a birth worker. I help people get in tune with their body and their pleasure and their passion and purpose in life, with hands-on work and also with coaching and with doula work as well. So I support women during their labors and their pregnancies to feel empowered and to get the birth vision that they want. That's me.
Wow, it's beautiful. Yeah. And who am I? My name is Brigitte. I'm a, what am I? I'm so many things, but I'm a dance educator. I use dance as a tool for transformation. So what does that mean? I don't see dance only for dance steps. There is so much more meaning to it. Um, right, there are so many symbols and um yeah, symbolisms of our life, right? We tell basically our life stories through our bodies. We Our dance of life is danced by our body, and this is basically what I teach and what I bring also into Zouk. And I work with liquid leading, which is basically a nonverbal communication style, where you can change the roles if you want to, but it's more about actually feeling the other person, feeling yourself, especially, right? I think that's where it all starts. And then how can you melt into like a two-person dance or more people dancing together dance, where you support each other, where you listen to each other, where you have space to express yourself, in all different types of ways through your body. And that's basically what I facilitate when I teach. Yeah.
Yeah, it only made sense for us to kind of partner up and create this offering where we are taking the different tools we have for somatic awareness and just body awareness and consent and pleasure and connection, and creating this dance workshop where people can learn these really fine-tuned skills to take their dance to another level with more access to spontaneity and just enjoying the dance more. So yeah, sex coaching and Zouk uh, training together. It makes perfect sense to me.
Totally. Yeah, and it's a hot topic, right? I feel um yeah, it's not often talked about, and it definitely needs to be talked about because um we live in this body, we are sexual beings, and we are humans, and um yeah, often like I hear or have heard in the past, oh, dance has nothing to do with sex. And that just doesn't really make sense to me. It's like, yes, it has to do, like, because we're doing the same, like we're basically expressing ourselves with our body, whether we dance or in a sexual way. Um, and also, sex doesn't always mean, or like working with the sexual energy is not always about intercourse. It's about using it as like the creative force, like the creative energy. And yeah, and it's something that is always put under the table. And I think then it just like creates this huge monster that nobody's talking about, and then like fear, and like there's so many stigmas around it. And I think it's so important to put it on the table, and talk about it openly, and where are our intersections, where are they, right? And what can we learn from you, and what can the other way around too, what can you learn from the dancing, right?
Yeah, and dance is this like really unique activity where we get an opportunity to have contact with another human being, like all on our body, which we just don't get a lot of opportunities for touch like that. But also, we don't get a lot of opportunities for connection, and sometimes intimacy with another human, even if it's um, intimacy that only exists in one dance, you know? And how do we make that feel good for everyone? Like what are the little micro skills that people need to learn to have the agility to um, dance through that dynamic with ease. Yeah. So yeah, so
Definitely.
this concept of we're only teaching dance is something you've mentioned to me before, Brigitte, is kind of like the idea that people have, but um we're dancing and I'm a baby Zouker, so I just came onto the Zouk scene. um
Mhm.
but immediately am in this world where I'm getting to experiment with my body and I'm getting to experiment with other people's bodies too. And this idea of we're just dancing, doesn't make a ton of sense because we're dancing with all of our identities and beliefs and within this societal construct of, what is consent, what is connection, what is intimacy. So just bringing some of that to light and having fun with it.
Totally. Yeah. Um, yeah, it goes so much beyond the dance step for me, right? It's yeah, we're just dancing, but the dance just exists because there's humans dancing, and human bring the story, right? You bring um yeah, you bring what you just mentioned, your belief system, your dreams, your hopes, your desires, your fears, um, just your whole imprint. And this is also like it is visible in the way you move, right? Even if you're not conscious about it, but it is visible. And yeah, just to be aware of that more, and then take care of the other person, take care of yourself, um to honor who you are, to honor the person that is in front of you, and to have an actual dialogue is so healthy. um yeah, and it's not just executing the perfect dance step. It's like, yes, that is freaking amazing if you get to the point where you're athletically basically able to dance like a very clean dance, and you get to spin a million times. It's such an amazing accomplishment. And then also, right, like especially because Zouk is a social dance, and first line, and yeah, we're dancing with humans, and to remember that when we do that, before we do a million spins, to actually check in, which doesn't need to be only verbal, but it's also good, if the person is actually ready for that, right? So we don't know the history. We don't know, the person's gonna feel dizzy. We don't know, it could cause some other stuff. And so it's always about a construct, right? Like a relationship, any kind of relationship needs to be like built from kind of scratch. And yeah, that's like I feel like a very important thing.
Yeah, this such an interesting concept and like reality that our beliefs are demonstrated through our body movements and the way we take up space in the world. And I don't know, I have this vision of everyone kind of not just accessing the imprint that we have from um, the like roles we inhabit in society, like as women, for example, maybe to take up less space. And, I have this curiosity about everybody inhabiting their blueprint rather than their imprint. Like, what is their most core version? And what does that look like moving through the world? And so that's one of the things that I'm working on a lot with clients is how are they inhabiting space in a room, for example, like as women, we're um, you know, we're taught not to take up a lot of space, not to make a lot of noise, and breaking that habit and finding a stronger voice is not just about having a belief system that allows you to do that, but about teaching your body how to do that, teaching your body how to expand like that, and having an opportunity to do that in dance. Ooh, it just like is super like juicy. I love it.
Yeah, just to draw a parallel, right? To go a little bit deeper into that is like, yeah, but we have a voice, right? Like what I see, like also in the traditional model, yes, you still have a voice, but the pathways are very much predetermined. And
Mm,
as when you're in the follower role, who predetermines, like definitely it's the Zouk structure, but then the lead is leading you through the roller coaster. And what I encounter a lot is like, um, but what roller coaster do you want to be taken on as a follower? How can you co-create it? What is your bodily desire to move, right? What's the way you want to move? And not be moved by somebody, right? Or how can you show your movement and it's being listened to and heard and used for creativity from the lead. And yeah, and to enjoy the movements that you have from your own body, to please yourself and not just the other person. um, and then it also is for the other way around, right? Like for the leads, what that I see there, like speaking, right? The leading for me is often like the speaking, if it just goes into a one direction. um, and what I see there is like a lot of like, it creates a dependency on like knowing how to do dance steps, and the more vocabulary you have, the more exciting it is. And then also the more the follow is able to execute it, you're like happy because like, yes, the follow did it. And that gives you a satisfaction. But then when the follow doesn't follow exactly the way you want to, it creates frustration. And so we have like all these different levels and components in there. And then especially for the lead in that case, it's like, what are your desires? How do you want to move? How does your body want to move, right? Not only externalizing the pleasure, like onto like an object, if I may talk like this, but to actually be like, hey, my body moves and it's delicious. And if the person that is not following exactly the way I want to, I'm still happy. I'm having a good time. We still can connect. And yeah, it's kind of like the give and take. It's kind of this aid where I feel this conversation needs to happen. And less just like, hey, I'm giving you a ride right now, you have to be happy. And I'm gonna be happy if you're exactly on my ride. If not, I'm gonna be disappointed. And then also the other way around, like, hey, you're not taking me on a ride. The ride that you created for me was not cool, I didn't enjoy it, so therefore I don't like you. um to just like, yeah, bring the empowerment in both roles to actually enjoy your own body and then be able to co-create the ride. And yeah.
yeah. What that sounds like to me in my frame of reference of sexological bodywork is both people are accessing their direct pleasure. So there's indirect pleasure where you're getting pleasure from someone else's pleasure, or you're getting pleasure from like how you appear to someone, like how you look in performance, rather than what are the sensations I'm actually feeling as I'm moving through this dance? So yeah, it just feels like both people are in this sweet spot of I'm enjoying my experience, I'm connected to you at the same time, and both are there, kind of meeting in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And something that you've mentioned to me before, which I love, is this concept of like um, being intensely curious about the person that you're dancing with. And you said that some of the best dances that you've had are with baby zookers, which makes me very happy because I'm new and just a tad bit nervous about showcasing my zooking. So yeah,
Yeah. Um, it's it just gives me, yeah, so much pleasure. I mean, it's awesome to dance with somebody that is advanced, and you can do like all these fancy advanced roller coaster movements, and it's like athletically challenging, and I feel like how my fire comes out, and I it's just it's really it's also it's pleasurable and addictive, right? Because you can just be at such a high level. And then how do you deal basically with baby zookers? They deserve to have fun too, and it's just going to be a different ride. And what I found out, and that doesn't apply only to baby zookers, but it's like um, if you can basically regulate the nervous system of both people dancing, right? Especially for baby zookers that are more nervous and like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm doing everything wrong. I don't want to do anything wrong. And I don't know where my body is and like what my arms do, what my legs do, right? There's so much information, new information coming in. And and there for me it's just like about co-regulation, and then showing, hey, like you don't need to be perfect. You already bring so much, right? So much movement possibilities. Let's explore them together. And um at the same time, like I also like, how can I make it fun for myself with my own body, right? Because your capacity of movement will be different than mine. And so it actually becomes a challenge for me, like, okay, how can I use my body and my capacity and yours in that case, right, to have fun and like challenge myself to go and make my own roller coaster, um, at the same time that I'm taking you on like a an awesome ride that you will feel good and comfortable, and also like to teach you basically that, hey, you're already a dancer. You can already have fun. You don't need to know so much. And um I feel, yeah, that has brought me a lot in social dancing. Basically, my happiness isn't necessarily about the person's level. Um, yeah, it's more about the connection, being together, and how can we find the sweet spot, no matter what level or emotional, yeah, process you're in, and how can we just match there.
Mhm. You speak in the nervous system. I love being in the nervous system. That's a tool that I use a lot in my sex coaching. And what people don't realize a lot of the time is that if you're not in safety, if your nervous system and your body is not registering your environment as safe, you aren't able to access play, and you're not able to access pleasure or creativity or spontaneity because your system's worrying about surviving. And so creating environments and creating dances where both people feel super safe, um, you're going to get a totally different, more pleasurable, more spontaneous, more creative experience that way. So I love that you brought in the nervous system.
What are
Um,
just for the people that aren't yet very familiar with that term, like what is a dysregulated nervous system? How does it show, and what's a regulated nervous system? Can you tell us a little more about that?
sure. So when your nervous system is dysregulated or it's in a mode of danger, your awareness and your bodily resources are then going to your survival. And so your blood and your attention goes to your limbs. So you're ready to fight or flight or freeze. And with a regulated nervous system where your body's registering your environment as safe, um, your awareness opens up to things around you. It opens up to being able to connect with the person in front of you. Um, and this is actually something that comes into play a ton with sexuality because people are often expecting their bodies to respond as if they're machinery, as if they can just turn them on and they work a certain way. And instead, when our bodies aren't responding the way they should, the question is, what do I need right now to feel safe enough to open up? And so signs of that are like you might feel like heat in your hands. You could feel just a little bit of like emergency or alarm in your body. Um, a regulated nervous system can feel like many people describe like a drop in the belly or like awareness that your feet are on the ground or that your body has contact with the things around you. That does that kind of answer your question?
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And it's super interesting to bring it, whether you apply it in sex or um, in any kind of practice, basically, right? Like at your job or in dancing, as we are talking about here. Um, Once your nervous system is regulated and you feel the trust in the other person and in yourself, then something that is actually like kind of um interesting that happens is that so many possibilities open up. So once you feel safe, there are so many ways of expression that suddenly become a possibility. Um, and that means also like from like softer energies, you can go into stronger energies and into like anger expression, but without actually hitting each other, but just channel these energies for your creativity, and you can create an unlimited amount of worlds that you want to create. And I feel that is like the beauty of dance, right, where you literally just find bliss in expressing yourself the way you are, and every nuance of yourself is welcome, and that is, I feel, very beautiful.
I love it. So good. So do you want to tell people the details of the workshop and anything else they can expect?
Yeah, you can help me with that one. So our workshop will be this Friday. Here, I'm already in Chicago, so here in Chicago, um, at Urbanity Zouk. I'm sorry, Sarah, if I'm saying it wrong. And we're basically going into body language. We're going to talk about consent, and so Nicole is going to bring her expertise, and I'm going to bring my expertise, and we'll bring the what's it called? The theory basically into embodiment. Like we're both very much into embodying these concepts, so that we can play with it afterwards or during already. And yeah, it's not that hard actually. It's very simple. So yeah, anything you want to add?
Yeah, just that all this theory is super interesting, but when you actually bring it into the body and do those practices with movement and with other human beings around you to connect with, that it's a whole different thing. This is just like a tiny, tiny taste. And then also wanted to mention that both of us will be in town for a few days outside of the workshop if anyone wants to meet with us one-on-one and have individual sessions too. And our contact information is on the Facebook page. And I think that's everything we wanted to mention.
I have one thing more. I just
Okay,
wanted to thank Sydney, first of all, so much for making this connection and this workshop happen. Yeah, I really appreciate her work. She's been doing so much for the Zouk community and now opening, giving us space to bring other topics in that are really important. And also for Sarah for yeah, hosting us and also giving us the opportunity and yeah, just caring so much about the zoo community and to make it like a healthier and more fun than it already is place. So thank you on that behalf. And thank you, Nicole. I'm really excited to work with
me
you.
too. Yeah, me too, me too. All right, we'll
So,
see everybody soon.
yes.